Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Thank you for joining us today for this episode of Her Version. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Lisa. From department store model to rubbing elbows with Madonna, Lisa has experienced everything from leading humanitarian missions to speaking on hundreds of stages across the world. She labels herself a mother, life coach, author, transformational speaker, TV host, and avid traveler with an MA in spiritual psychology. Her fascination with people has taken her to over 60 countries, landed her a documentary series on Amazon called Soul Blazing, and set her up to run her own retreats and workshops around the subject of leading a more purposeful life. So excited to have her here. Welcome, Lisa. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you for taking some time out of your day to sit and chat with me a little today. I had a chance to kind of go through all of your stuff and so much. You've done so much.
Yeah, I have. Someone the other day that I met was asking me my age, and what do you think? He's like 37, and I'm like, you think I did all that by 37? It's like, you're so accomplished.
Totally. I absolutely love it though. And I think that even just that gives people, women especially, hope. You know, sometimes we have all of these dreams and we have all of these aspirations that aren't necessarily all totally aligned. But it really gives individuals the realization that, hey, listen, I can do something right now. It might not be the thing that I'm going to do forever. And then I can pivot and I can kind of go in a different direction. And I think that that's so important to see, so important to see somebody doing.
Oh, absolutely. I pivot all the time. I have so many passions, which I think is the case with so many people, that it feels like ADD, but I think you could do everything, but just not everything all at once.
Yes.
And as long as you prioritize, I use little note cards, and every morning I put on my desk what I'm getting done that day. Because if I don't do that, I'm going to be all over the place, because it's like, oh yeah, that screenplay I'm writing. Oh, but that book. And oh, I'm speaking here. Let me work on that speech. Oh, I've got to see this friend. Oh, it's this one's birthday,
Yep.
Just whatever it is. Yeah.
I love that. So wait, so you prioritize and you have like a note card or two with like a specific priority you have to get done that day?
Yeah. Yes.
Really
Like
cool.
for today, I put this, and I had an 8:30 meeting, and I have an investment call at 4. So like those are the key ones that are like hard appointments with other people. Then on my own time, I label it my CEO time is this, and my writer is a writer. That's my time. So I put in a block, hour and a half you're writing, and these 2 hours you're CEO, meaning going through emails and getting back to people and just organizing whatever it is I have to do.
I love that. Why do you put it on note cards? I've never heard of that.
Because I put it on this size note cards, just because when I put it in my calendar, it's there, but if it's not in front of my eyes, I don't see it. So I take it, then I just put it up, and then I go, okay, this is what I've got to do today. And it just is an extra little reminder. It's kind of going back to old school of where we used to write everything down in a journal. So for me, I'm so organized in my house. Everything's labeled and everything has a place. Everything has a home. But inside my computer, it's like, just because I can't see it.
Yes.
So, my desktop, I'm like, oh, if it's not on my desktop, I won't be able to find it again. And I don't know. It's just me.
That's so cool. And then when you're done, you just throw the note card away.
Yeah.
See, I do paper too. I preach paper to all of my clients because you go to your phone to look at your calendar. Before you know it, you're in Instagram for 30 minutes
Exactly.
because you got a
Exactly.
notification. So
Mhm.
I preach to keep everything, your to-dos and all of your have-tos on paper.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
love that. I love the idea of a note card. Wow.
Yeah. And then I put like 15-minute blocks throughout my day to return phone calls. You know, because
Yes.
people are calling, "Hey, what are you doing? Do you want to go grab lunch?" Or do like all this, just improv friendship stuff that I have going on. So I could go, "Hey," talk to them, or, "Oh, I could carve out this time." And so, yeah.
Look at that. We're already 5 minutes in and we got things to do. That's
Yes,
awesome.
it
That's
really
awesome.
helps. It sounds so simplistic, but it's not. It really changed my life from being so much more productive. And I've
Yes.
been doing it for about 2 years. So,
Yes.
yeah,
So
it's when you're
cool.
juggling a lot.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna think about that. That's so interesting. I like the idea that it's small. I like the idea you can just toss it. That's cool. I'm addicted to the legal pads. Like I have a planner and I have a legal pad. I have a legal pad everywhere all the time, taking notes and learning and pulling in even all these podcasts. I'm always taking notes. So I want to
Oh,
talk to you, Lisa. You've done so much.
mm.
You've been on crazy journeys, traveling all over the place. I still haven't even left the United States.
Ah!
So I'm going to be living vicariously through you while we're
Yeah.
talking here. I did get my passport years ago with the intention of, and then just never did it. I've never left. I've lived in many different states, so at least I got that going for me. But I've never been out of the country. But I want to ask you, so what is, with all of the stuff, what is one of the biggest challenges that you have overcome or had to overcome in your life? And what did you learn from that challenge?
Mm, that's a great question because there's so many challenges daily, as you
Yeah.
know. But I think one of the greatest challenges was growing up in San Diego, but under a Baghdad roof. My father was from Iraq and my mom is American. She was kind of like Amish in a way in the hills of Virginia. But growing up in San Diego where everyone's, the beach and this and that, and to have the rules of the Middle East was very challenging. And one day when I came home from baking a cake, my dad happened to be there, but he worked 8 to 11 at his own grocery store. And when I walked through the door, there was like a gun pointed at me. And I'm 16 and I was like this goody goody two shoes, good student, good friend. And he's like, "What are you doing out so late?" Because the street lights were on. It was like 5:36. And I said, "I was just baking a cake for our friend. It's her birthday tomorrow, with another friend down the street." "You can't do that. That's being a whore walking down the street in your, Christian checkered school uniform." I'm like, he's like, "Send her to an orphanage." Like, orphanage? What's an orphanage? Because I have 4 sisters. So basically, what he was doing was making me the example in the family. Like, if you step out of line, this is what'll happen. He was a good guy, life of the party, the best friend of everyone, but he had 5 teenagers at the same time. My mom had her first child at 18, then another at 19, twins at 20, and another one at 22. So we were all in high school around the same time, and he was freaking out about boys. So he saw me out and going, "Oh my God, where is she?" And then that means all the kids will do that if he doesn't make a big statement. But that's a big statement. And for me, when I had a good relationship for him to do that, it was just like devastating. It did something to me. So when I went to my room crying, I thought, he always said, "Everyone's out there who's bad. Everyone's going to hurt you and rape you and kill you. And, only here. And here's who your husband is, marry within the family," and all that stuff. So I got curious of who are all of these bad guys. So it got me hitchhiking. And I'd sneak out of the window. I do this, I do that, and just get in cars with like Hell's Angels types. And, why are you the way you are? Why do you have tattoos? Why do you drive this car? Why do you hurt people? Why don't you have a job? Why, just all this stuff. And they became my angels. Not one of them hurt me. And I did it about a dozen times. And I thought, oh, wow. So everything that parents think they know, maybe they don't know. And it really got me questioning. It got me into curiosity and wonder and dreamer. And I just thought, wow, there's a whole world out there that I'm supposed to fear. Maybe I need to plunge into that. Then as I was going through my life, I wanted to go to LA to be an actress. And of course, my dad, you can't do that. That's legalizing being a whore because you're just getting, as long as you're kissing on screen, you're getting paid, you can do it. But, be unfaithful to your spouse and nudity. And I'm like, oh my God. But a couple of years in, I found out that, he wasn't so far off, but women weren't whores. Men were just not the best, a lot of them. So I got a lot of Me Too stuff, and I got, just all these roles of 5 seconds of nudity, 8 seconds of nudity, this, that. I'm like, I can't do any of this. So I quit, and that was hard on me because that was going to be, my life. But I thought, I can't do this or I'm going to disgrace my whole family and all my, relatives. So I went through a who am I, what am I moment and kind of a little midlife.
Wait a minute. So like you actually had roles coming up, but they included these little tiny itty bitty nudity scenes. So you just left?
Yeah, I got a soap opera, not even to be nude, but to be under the covers, like making out with someone. I was the affair. And then I said, I can't do that. But you're covered. I'm like, but it looks like I'm not. Because up to here, you could see, and you're making out with someone. I said, I can't make out with someone. I can't, everything. Then I got a Remington Steele, the guy who started in Remington Steele. Then he was, what's that called? 007. What's his name?
007?
007. Yeah, he was later James Bond.
Connery? Who?
James Bond.
James Bond, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I got a $6 million HBO movie with him. I would play his wife, but I'd be nude again. And he was a sculptor, but I would be covered like this, holding my hand here and my leg in front of me like that. But I said, I cannot be nude. They go, well, you have pasties and you have like a nude babe. I said, I can't because it appears to the audience that I'm nude. So I quit. That was my final straw.
Oh my gosh. Wait, so how do you feel about that? Are you good? Or do you kind of like wish you would have explored that a little bit more and not have listened to other people's opinions? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's both. Part of me wanted to live that out because it was my dream and I love playing other characters. And I think there's no greater growth than being in that field and just exploring the psyche of whatever character you play. But on the other hand, if I had been an actress, I wouldn't have traveled to over 60 countries. It wouldn't have put me on this journey.
Wow.
I would have just been acting in movies and, hanging out with other actors, maybe all that kind of stuff. So what happened was I ended up saying, I'm going to go to Iraq. And my goal is to meet Saddam Hussein. I know it was crazy. And Al-Qaeda was big at that time. And there was a no-fly zone. So you keep hearing on the news that you take a bus from Jordan to Iraq and it's an 18-hour bus ride. And 5 times it stopped. And sometimes they go, Al-Qaeda gets on to kidnap Americans or steal from them. And I thought, oh my God, I could go on this bus ride to Iraq and get kidnapped because I was in love with Christiane Amanpour. So I thought then I could become a war reporter. What I'll do is I'll work with them and I'll co-write a book with them because I felt I had a superpower because I was with Hell's Angels and all this stuff when I was rebelling and nobody hurt me. I put myself in harm's way 100 times. So I thought, I could handle them. So I did that. I got a Louis Vuitton bag and I got fake diamonds and I went to Jordan and then I went on the bus. And anytime the guards would come, I'm like, oh, my diamonds. My dad would kill me if he knew I brought my diamonds. Oh, do you know Louis? And here's my passport papers. And nobody hurt me. Nobody would give me any attention except be super nice and thank you, enjoy your stay. And so that plan was, fell through. But what it did was it took me to Iraq. We're Christian Iraqis. So I ended up going to Tilkef, where my dad was from, a small town, because there's only like 2,000 Christians left in Iraq. Everyone else was Muslim. And I went to his home, which was caves. They're all caves together. And everyone slept on rooftops where you could jump from rooftop to rooftop. Really cool. Then they had a church. They had a little grocery store, just basics. And they had an orphanage. So I walked in the orphanage. This is the orphanage my dad was telling me about. So I walked through the doors and I started talking to the kids and going, oh my God, tell me everything. And they're like, you don't care about us. You're bombing us. Americans this, Americans that. My uncle lost his leg. My dad died. I'm like, no, that's all politics. We care. We care. And I said, I'm going to memorialize your words. They're like, okay, are you sure? I'm like, yes, tell me everything. So they start sharing stuff. I'm like, what am I going to do with this when I got home? And then that led me on a journey of 5 years to 15 orphanages, interviewing the kids, then writing a book called Whispers from Children's Hearts. It's actually right here.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, Macau. So I asked them 3 questions and I made it really cute, and China, Italy. So it's a really cute little book of their quotes and how they felt and, about life. So yeah, so it was wonderful. This was an amazing, amazing experience. And it took me to Australia, China, France, Iraq, Israel, Italy, Japan, Macau, Malaysia, Mexico, Nepal, Netherlands, Peru, Singapore, and of course, the United States. So this was life-changing because once I did this, I self-published, and then somebody self-published it for me. And then I ended up giving it to bookstores and libraries and schools. And then I started getting asked to speak everywhere. And I took my daughter to school for first grade in Barcelona, and I passed it out all over Europe. And then I got asked to speak here and there. And then everyone had the book, and I became a speaker. I became an author speaker, and I never had that in my repertoire. That's a lesson.
Wow. So wait, so what was the subject in which you were speaking?
It was about the book, about the experiences and the children around the world.
Wow. Was there a moral? Like, and this is to teach?
That this is what I learned. Bringing in humanity, compassion. What are we doing to the kids? Giving kids a voice. They need to have a say. So yeah, and all there is, learn to love and be loved. That's it. If you can't accept love, you can't give love. And that's why so many kids are in orphanages. That's why we have wars. Everything is about ego and me, not about the other or us as a whole. So
wow, very cool.
Yeah. And then
what were the 3 questions? Do you remember?
Yeah. Is God fair? Why or why not? If you had one wish, what would it be? And who in the world would you like to meet and why?
Wow. What's the most memorable?
It was Iraq, because they were suffering so much. I will share a few. Who would you want to meet most? I would want to meet God to understand my purpose and why I'm here. I just don't understand the reason for life. My mommy said there is no reason, just live because you were born. I'd want to meet the American president because I'd like him to know that we are nice. I think if we met, he'd like me and then protect my family because he likes to have fun. I've seen him on TV smiling a lot, and my family is fun. That was when Bush was president. I'd meet your president, ask him why he lets bombs fall on my daddy. I'd want to ask an American doctor to bring medicine because I don't have any left and we're sick. Like just so profound. And some of them were simple, like in China, I'd want to meet my cousin Kwang because he protected me when he lived here. Now he moved away to Xi'an. Do you believe in God? No. I believe in Buddha. He is the man that changed people's thinking forever. All of them, they're just so different. And some people in America, it's just like, oh, what do you want most? I want Barbie and Ken dolls, or I want Australia, I want to surf, and I want to, meet the #1 surfer in the world. And so it's very different. Some are political, playful. Yeah, Mexico, I want to meet Jesus. I have questions about how he died. Yeah. Just, it was just fascinating. So I took, like the top, answers, 3 or 4 answers for each question in each country after getting about 50 answers. As a lot of them were similar. Yeah.
That's so cool. Did you actually notate their like first name or something?
Yes. Yeah. And on the website, the whispersfromchildrenshearts.org, I turned it into a foundation then and started having legacy galas and raising money for the kids and all this stuff.
Wow. That is so cool.
Yeah.
All from just that one trip.
just from that trip. And my dad's saying, I'm sending you to an orphanage. And I'm like, ah. So it took me to an orphanage and took me all over. So that's what I'm saying. If I was an actress, I probably would have been playing in a soap opera for 10 years, or maybe this show, and then maybe eventually a movie or two that doesn't really make a big difference in the world, just entertainment. And I think everything I've learned and the people I've met through travels and leading, this led me to start leading retreats because people started wanting to go with me. Can I go with you to the orphanage? So I'm okay. So then I started creating, retreat packages, and then taking people on this whole journey and all these exercises to stay with the Maasai tribe in Tanzania, or to stay with the Sufis in Cappadocia. And so it became so much bigger than that. And then we'd just go to a place and be like Oprah and knock on a door. What do you need? And we'd have medicines and food, and we'd hire local carpenters to build stuff. And they don't have beds, or they have dirt floors, and we'd build bunk beds and floors, get them chickens and goats and clothes for the kids and medicine. It was a lot of fun.
Wow, that's amazing. So how did the journey go from that all over to soul blazing?
Because I always thought I had a superpower once that happened, because I put myself in danger, and somehow all the bad guys became my angels and my therapists, because I started telling them everything. My dad said this. Is this true? Is that true? Or why do you live that life? So I would start telling them stuff that was going on in my life, because I knew they wouldn't tell anybody, because we were always told, keep everything private. Don't share anything. But I'm like, oh, all these people, I could just share whatever I want. And a lot of them were so wise. So, so after doing all this travel, I thought, I need to go back to school, because I felt very street smart, but I wanted to learn more and dig in the psyche, since I was writing these books. And so I went and got a master's in psychology. And then in the second year program, they said, create a type of therapy. It was one of our projects, and what you would do. So I called it the bell theory. And then, because I love those big church bells when I traveled. So then over time, I worked in a prison, getting my 3,000 hours. And I was there for 4 days working with people, maybe 5 or 6 to 10 people a day, because sometimes you worked in duos or trios. And with all these about 250 inmates who were lifers. Then on my last day, the last person, I got the bully of the prison. And I asked why she was there. And she said, just to get points. But she doesn't care about anything else. I'm like, but I'm here to help you. I don't want to be helped. And who are you? Who do you think you are to think you could help me? Your life's nothing like mine. And I hate your stupid briefcase, because I had this special briefcase. So I started laughing. I said, I hate my briefcase too. I brought it to impress you. Apparently it's not. So we just started talking. I started blazing her. I looked her in the eyes, held her hands, and just told her I loved her, and then shared this and shared that. And by the end of the session, she started crying, like tears in her eyes, saying, Lisa, you blazed my soul. And I went, Bella, you just gave me the name for my therapy. I'm going to call myself a soul blazer. And that's how that happened. I said, you said you had nothing else to give. Then I gave her affirmations based on her experiences that she shared with me. So I call them declarations, to help her look at anytime she wants to hurt someone or do something. And I inspired her to use the payphone to raise money for battered women, because she had murdered 3 husbands because they always were attacking her. You keep marrying the same kind until you change your thoughts, you attract the same thing. So anyway, 4 or 5 months later, she raised 75,000 on a payphone. And then the prison's calling me saying, what did you do to her? She's like the angel of the prison now. She's not the bully. She helps people in, and she raised this money, and da, 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 da. So that was
wow.
Soul blazing in honor of Bella. So
wow, so cool.
Yeah.
Where is she now?
In prison. Yeah, she's in for life. Yeah.
Lisa is really tears dropping, having seen how people are suffering or marginalized. But the most comforting thing is that we are able to reach out when they needed our help. She's from Nigeria.
Oh, yes.